I'm dying.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah!
What the fuck are you talking about?
All right, fam, what is up? We are back for another episode of the Weekly Roundup. I'm your host, as always, Steve Rochelle, being joined by, on my right, Mr. Daniel Bakley. Down the bottom, Mr. Zachary Burr. How are we doing this afternoon, this evening, fellas?
I am doing swell. How about you, Zach?
I mean, I'm not good. Look at all the wrinkles on my forehead. Look how old I am. Oh my God. We're discovering that live on each. That's not good, boys.
It looks even worse when you freeze up.
I'm sure.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's not good, boys. Oh, that's worse than what the Phillies bullpen looked like early in the year. Hey, what is coming out of my nose? Was that live? Did that happen? Did everybody see that? This is not good. I'm trying to talk.
You didn't tell us? We didn't even know
And
that.
things are just coming out of my face. I'm like a robot or something here. I don't think I'm a human being. I umpired 4 baseball games today, so now you can see my tan line. There's just a lot going on. Smell me through the phone. You know, I stink. It's like a man smell. You know, man, this is man time, right? Saturday nights, man time. We smell like man. You know, Manscaped is one of our sponsors. It's all perfect, Steven. You know it all fucking works well. You know, it's all perfect. But Manscaped will be later on. Right now, as always, every single week, the Weekly Roundup here on ATD Radio, brought to you by our guy, my buddy, Alan Foy, looking to buy or sell a home. He is your real estate guy. If you're looking for a change in career brokerage, you contact Alan at eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820. You can visit him at alan.foy@exprealty.com. He's there for all your realty questions, all your brokerage questions, anything to do, in that line of things. And then he's also a very, very smart basketball guy. So you want to talk some sports with him, huge basketball guy, basketball coach. That's his other, that's like the other we have him on sometimes, right? And it's always fun. So you never know what you'll get with him. Kind of like the Phillies bullpen, right? Look at this segue. We are so professional here. It's so amazing. Are you guys alive up there? You just let me go and just ramble on and it's.
Well, you're running it, bro. Go.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't talking to myself here.
What do you want me to handcuff you?
No, I just want to make sure I wasn't talking to myself. That's all. Again, as long as people can hear me. We know how there's a problem with that sometimes around here.
Yeah, no, you're good right now, brother.
Yes. Again today, as they have as of late, the Phillies bullpen big. Gibson pitched really well, obviously, but then you get the back end of your bullpen, Alvarado, and then Knebel, finally doing things that we expected him to do when we made that deal. Ends up in a ninth inning situation to have to close a 1-run game again and makes it happen. Shut out the Cardinals in back-to-back games, boys, and they're a main competition in the wild card. Things are looking pretty right now.
Yeah, it was kind of funny before that the Braves were battling the Cardinals, and we were like, who do we want to win? Because it's like we kind of needed both to lose, but it was like the Braves did a little favor there, and then we were able to get these 2 wins against the Cardinals. So now we're technically a game and a half ahead with 2 games in hand, because the Cardinals have played 2 more. And so Anthony Dominguez had the day off today because he pitched the last 2 or 3 games. I like the fact that they didn't really come out and say it, but basically he's the closer now.
Yeah, and for all intents and purposes, right? Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah, and we've been saying that all season. They need to move him to closer, and they finally do it. And I wouldn't say the bullpen has been great. I'm just going to say they're average right now. We were doing so bad that the fact that we moved to average and they look great is saying how bad they were early on.
They've been great over the past month. Not just great, they've been the best bullpen in baseball over the past month. So is that smoke and mirrors, or is that starting to turn into substance? Is it have a little bit to do with
Big Pete's
just a new voice in the clubhouse?
He agrees to the poll, guys. So
I think the only team that is doing better is Seattle. Their bullpen's the only one that I think is doing better than the Phillies. because ever since they got rid of Sergio Romo, they've had like the best ERA and everything. Bullpen.
I mean, I saw over the past month that we were number one in every like statistical category for bullpens. That's over the past month. So I don't, over the past certain amount of games or whatever it is.
I'll take it all day, So
I mean, sure. If you're saying we're arguably the best bullpen in baseball, all of a sudden, and where does the truth lie? So we're obviously not the worst bullpen in baseball. Maybe we're not the best bullpen in baseball, but you're probably somewhere in the middle. And being somewhere in the middle, we talked about, getting better at the deadline. If you can make your bullpen, doesn't have to be elite, but you just make it better. You get to where it's, if it can be a top 10 bullpen, right? You put yourself in a good position, down the stretch to try to be a playoff team. And I think even more so now, because you still don't have to, you can look at it and say, you still want to make moves at the deadline, but you don't feel desperate to have to go out there and make the big splash, right? You don't have to go give up everything to make sure you bring in one big name. Go add 2 or 3 solid arms and have some toys to play with back there. Because, why not? It's you're going to need as many horses down the stretch, in that bullpen as we hit, October baseball. So right now, it seems like it's a good thing for this club that the bullpen has figured things out enough to go, okay, we know what the bullpen is. Now we can.
The name breaks up.
Go out and do something big here to try to solidify things.
Yeah, in the past 5 games, the bullpen has only given up 1 run, which was Brad Hand in like the 7th or 8th inning. I think it was a home run. And other than that, they've been lights out the last 5 games, which has been great against Washington and now, of course, against St. Louis, which this is a very important series for us going into the All-Star break. I think next week we want to be ahead of them and we want to go in on a high note. And right now we got a 3-game winning streak. The last 5 games, like I said, only 1 earned run from there. The starting pitching has been doing well. I just feel like the only thing that we're missing is, other than Alec Bohm and of course Kyle Schwarber and whatnot, and JT Realmuto, we need a little bit more from the offense to combat with the pitching, because we can't count on the pitching to do how well they've been doing. We need to kind of have a little bit of mixture going with this team. But I'm at least happy that the pitching is starting to wake up on the bullpen side.
So what were the 3 names that you said? You said outside of Bohm, outside of Schwarber, and Hoskins?
No, your favorite player to bash, JT Realmuto.
Yeah.
Not my favorite player to bash. That's who Bakley likes to bash him. No. Tommy loves to bash him. I don't bash him.
And he's finally picking it up. But how about
wait. So you're saying Reese Hoskins hasn't Hoskins has been doing Hoskins thing pretty much all year. He hits 250 and he hits 30 bombs.
He's been on that smooth sailing where he's not going any high, he's not going any low. He's just in that happy medium the whole time that they expect him to be. But how about Kyle Schwarber hitting? He's at 27 home runs right now. He leads the NL in home runs. I would have been happy with him getting 30 home runs on the season, and he's 3 away from 30 already, and it's only July. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of names that would be intriguing, names to talk about at the deadline is, as far as improving this team in a couple areas. You've got a guy like Benintendi. Andrew Benintendi seems to be the hottest name. It seems like on the trade market, everybody's interested in Benintendi. But I'd bring him here and let him play center field. I know he's not playing center field right now, but he's played it in the past. And people go say, the reason they moved him to left field because he's not this, he's not that, he's not going to play. Listen, my left testicle is probably better than anything we have in center field right now. So the idea that Benintendi can come in and the guy's an on-base machine. He doesn't strike out a ton, which is huge in today's MLB. You have very few high on-base percentage, low strikeout guys, and he walks more than he strikes out. It's it's one of those things that high contact guy in this lineup where there's a lot of swing and miss involved with a lot of high risk, high reward. He's a really, really solid offensive player, and what you're getting in center field is way better at that point than anything we've come close to getting from anybody else. Or Duval Herrera, which that experiment should have ended 3 years ago. Like, I mean, Guido Herrera's like that. Like, it's like the old Yeller story. Like, why hasn't somebody taken him out to the fucking shed and just shot him yet? Like, can we take him out to the woodshed and just put him out of his misery? Like, holy fuck.
It's more like putting our team out of this misery because we brought
like, what? Like, I mean, how is it like this guy?
He's like a cat. He has like 9 lives.
Oh my, yeah, it really is.
How many times has he come back to the team and it's like we can't get rid of him?
You know, usually, like, you suck at baseball, you beat your wife. One of the two will get you fucking thrown out of the sport. How does this guy suck at baseball and beat his wife and somehow still has a job? Like, how can it be both? Like, either one should be like, yeah, this guy, you suck at baseball, and like, take a seat. You know, go play in the independent league. Oh, you beat your wife? Yeah, good luck. Go, like, you're not playing professional baseball anymore. Somehow this guy's gotten away with both, and he's still on a fucking MLB roster. I'll never understand this. His career literally, like he was never a good enough player to survive the whole domestic violence situation, right? Like, I guess, like, elite players get special privileges sometimes. That's the way it goes. It's not fair, but it's just like when you're that good, sometimes you get special privileges. But he's not that good, and you don't get to, like, you know, beat your wife and then sit here and, like, you know, still have a job on an MLB roster 4 years after you started sucking. This is just ridiculous.
And to go back to the Andrew Benintendi thing, how crazy that when he got traded to the Royals, everybody was talking about, oh my God, this is a bad trade for the Red Sox, and the Royals just fleeced them. The Red Sox have done better with that trade than the Royals have. The Royals had that nice team that they thought that they were going to compete with, and they just bombed. And then ever since then, they've been trying to sell everybody but Perez. And you could probably get him for a good price right now with what they're trying
Bobby
to do.
Witt Jr. pretty much the only people that, like, yeah, they're like, the Royals are like, nope, like, you can't have is Salvador Perez and Bobby Witt Jr. Like, outside of that, have it.
And he's a true center fielder there, and that's what we need. We need somebody right there that we can plug and play in there. And what's your thoughts on Derek Hall right now? That we brought him up. He's been playing DH. I'm not going to say he's hit out of his mind.
What the fuck is that?
What are you watching?
What are you watching there, bro?
I'm watching the Red Sox-Yankees game, and I mean, this is some Little League shit here. Carpenter pops the ball up in the shallow left field. The Red Sox third baseman and left fielder come together. Neither one of them calls it off, so it falls between them. And then the third baseman picks it up and throws it to second, where Carpenter gets tagged out because he was trying to advance to second base. The whole thing is like Little League all the way around on both ends.
It's like a blooper that turned into an out by accident.
Like, I mean, I umpired 4 18U games today, and I saw, like, some better, you know, plays made than that.
But like I was saying, what are your thoughts on Derek Hall right now in his since they called him up, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of added some spark at a time when the team was down with the Harper thing, and you kind of just needed some energy. And, you know, here comes some young buck that's been tearing up the minor leagues, and he provided just some energy early on, especially, you know, with the early heroics, the home runs early on, you know, his first 3 hits being homers, and, you know, right now he's a guy that, you know, at the very least, you know, you can play him 2 or 3 days a week, and then you find, you know, different ways to get his bat in the lineup, you know, or, you know, get his bat, you know, in positions to pinch hit late in games and things like that. You know, I don't know if he's like really, where do you have a future on this team? You probably don't, but that doesn't really matter right now. You're just trying to, you know, get as much production out of as many guys as possible to make up for what you're losing with Bryce. And he's going to be a part of that group that fills in to do that.
We don't even know when Bryce is going to be back. He says he wants to be back at some point. He just didn't really give a timetable. I'm hoping that he comes back and we're in the same spot where we're inside the playoffs right now, either in the wild card or if we card up to the Mets, and then we can bring him back, and then that'll be a huge addition. Because right now we've been plug and playing. We got Derek Hall been playing, Muniak, Verlin. We've been just playing all these young guys. I feel like half the lineup has been the young guys, and then that's why I said the stepping up of Schwarber, Realmuto, and you said Reese. Reese has been just coasting the whole year. and whatnot. That's helped with it because all those. But I feel like the only thing that's hurting me right now
about the bullpen.
The only thing that I'm going to say about Schwarber is I wish instead of leadoff, maybe he was in the 2 or 3 spot because he's hitting all those home runs, but they're all solo shots. Whereas, say if somebody was on base and he hit him, it would be like a 2-run or 3-run home run, which would be bigger. But it's like, who are we going to play at leadoff right now because we got all these guys out?
I'd probably hit Bohm leadoff, to be honest. That would probably be the guy I'd want to hit leadoff. He gives you a professional at bat.
Rough one out of us, guys. Let's see if you can get your early, or way early World Series predictions right now.
Oh, this is tough.
Reds A's.
Would you say that?
He said like the 2 worst teams.
The Reds and the A's.
I'm going to go Astros, and then I'll go Dodgers.
No one thinks the Yankees are going to keep up the pace that they're running at.
I've been saying this all along. The Yankees do well in the regular season, and then lately they just find a way to lose in the playoffs. And I got to see otherwise before I take them.
That's fair enough.
Boone's a loser. Aaron Boone's always been a career loser.
Zach, what do you got, man?
What do I got? I mean, early season predictions, like we haven't even gotten to the trade deadline. Like it's just so silly. And like trying to take a team, like the Dodgers will be good every year. Like the Dodgers should be there. They just signed Freddie Freeman. I don't know what you want out of that. I mean, Dodgers, Yankees would be, good for baseball. 2 big markets. It's LA, it's New York, right? How could you? How could you beat that? Right? How could you beat LA, New York?
Texas and LA?
I mean, Houston, haven't we seen that before?
We have.
I mean, nope, safe. Exactly. I got money on the Red Sox. They're up 1-0. So.
Who don't you have money on?
I figured they'd have to steal one at some point. You made this is a really close play. Sliding in the hole.
Bring Pop back
in.
Here.
Oh, he might have got me.
In the middle with the bullpen. They aren't as good as they look right now, but they also aren't as bad as they showed in the first 2 months. Or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, they need that like middle relief.
I said at the beginning of the year, I already told Zach I would have right then and there signed up for well over 100 wins if they had another arm. They didn't do it. We'll see what happens at the deadline if they can do something to change my mind.
Well, they're definitely going to be players in it with how they're doing right now, and they're going to have options. It's just that what are we going to have to give up to get that? And that's one. But if it's just the bullpen, we might not have to give up that much.
He's out. Got him. That's a great play.
Well, Zach already made it clear he would rather have a big arm starter than the bullpen.
Like, give me Luis Castillo of the Reds. That's a good name. He's been pitching lights out.
I feel like that's not a need right now, though. We could do it because our starting pitching has been doing great all year. Well, I'm not saying elite. I'm just saying great. That hasn't been the problem. The problem has been when we transition over to the bullpen. That's been the issue. But now that's doing better. And then to timely hit and to go with it. We are up there in home runs and whatnot, but we're down low in batting average. So it's like we're getting those solo shots a lot. And then that's what's helping us out with the pitching. I feel like we could get a guy at the beginning that could play leadoff, that could get on base and get us some timely hitting early. And then, just like you said, maybe Benintendi, and then a middle reliever.
Benintendi probably is the perfect leadoff guy when you think about what he does. High contact, low strikeout, high on-base percentage guy. We don't have anybody else like that in our lineup. Bohm maybe, but he doesn't hit for, as high of a percentage as Benintendi has in his career.
The only guy that we had hitting over 265 was Harper, and he was hitting 320. And but he's batting the 3 spot.
Zach, how do we know he was going to chip in with this?
Oh, jeez.
I mean, whatever. That's fine. I mean, the Yankees are due to win a World Series. Like it's been what, 13 years since they last won a World Series? That's like a century in Yankees years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, right.
Yankees fans don't know what to do with themselves. There's Yankees, there's kids that are Yankees fans that have never experienced what that feels like to be a world champion. And like, that's not something you could say of any like 10-year-old Yankees fan in the past like 80 years. Every 10-year-old Yankees fan had seen at least one World Series within their first 10 years of life until like now, I guess. Probably not. That's not true because they didn't win one. They didn't win one in the 80s, so I guess I lied. But, you know, it sounded good.
Brink's throwing out some arm ideas.
Yeah, Brinky's right. Oakland also has Paul Blackburn, the starter. That would be a name that I'd be interested in as a guy that's like I look at as a step down from like the aces, but still a guy that you're like, oh, that's my 3? That's tight. Like, yeah, he's a good 3. Okay, I really like that guy. Now you got a good 1, 2, 3 punch, and Gibson's your 4.
So did we, guys.
How old were you when the 2009 Yankees championship? Like, what were you, like 7? Like, this guy's probably one of these. Yeah, I'm a Yankees fan. Like, yeah, you were born in like 2001. Like,
none.
What happened? I don't know. That was a long time ago. Think about it though. You know, and Boone, like, I mean, it's just, you know, like Brett Boone was a total loser, right? Like, I don't know, like had this like one of the biggest void heads ever, and like even then, even as a voider, his career was garbage for the most part. You know, except maybe like a few years there in Seattle where you were like, yo, bro, like how many voids are you taking? You taking like double dosage and shit? Like, you know, there's some guys that were just out of their mind. Aaron Boone, I mean, yeah, he had a good career, the magical moment with the Yankees, but like, dude, like, do people watch Yankees games? I mean, they're so fucking talented, but Boone is so garbage as a manager. Like,
he makes bad decision making. That's what it is.
Yeah, like everything. He doesn't like. It's not like he makes any decisions that help them win games. Like, that's not what he does.
And it costs that great team chances. Like they've come into the playoffs the last 2-3 years as a great team, and then it's just this decision making that like foils them the whole time. Like they're coming in, was it 3 years ago? They were the best team in baseball going in, and they lose in the first round. You know, and they've had a habit of doing that. And he said Cristo Sanchez starting won't work. It could if you just rely on him for innings, because nowadays in the playoffs, if you make the playoffs, you're really only starting 4 pitchers right now. You're not starting 5 anymore, because nowadays they use like the 5th as like they just use all bullpen now. It's all about the craziness.
A lot of teams will go throw like an elite long relief man and get 2 or 3 innings out of him, and then bullpen pitch a game. You know, like they pitch it backwards almost. Like the Rays started that trend.
Yeah, but they'll put an opener in, and then maybe 2 innings, and then maybe they're putting in Sanchez to do like 3 or 4 innings, and then they'll go to their 7, 8, and 9 guy afterwards. And if you could get something like that out of it, then it'll work, because the Phillies do have, of course, Nola, who is pitching great. They got, of course, Zack Wheeler. Gibson has been pretty decent. Like, he had a great game today, 7 innings, 5 Ks. And whatnot.
Yeah, it's not a bad rotation if you add, you know, like a Blackburn, you know, because like, you want to talk about guys that like maybe we don't have to give up the farm for, but are still really, really good players at that, you know, and that's where, you know, like a guy like Castillo for the Reds, Luis Castillo, or whatever the fuck, I think that's his name. You know what I'm talking about. You know, pitched last night for Cincinnati, or a couple nights ago for Cincinnati. He's a guy that's going to, like, you got to give up, like, everything for him. You're probably going to have to be uncomfortable with what you like that. Whereas, you know, a guy like Blackburn, you're going to give up something, but you're not feeling like you just got fucking raped in a deal. I think I'd prefer, like, an option like that. And there's quite a few other guys outside of Blackburn that you would look at that are in that same mold, you know,
what's going
in
on
situations
with
around the league.
Fight night right now, we are going into, let's see, we're going to Cody Brundage and Trayshawn Gore. We got the last fight on the prelims, and then we will be starting the 6-fight main card.
I don't understand what Brinky's talking about. Oh, well, Benintendi's not that great. Nobody said he was, but look at we've got Odubel Herrera and Nicky Moniak like trying to play center field, and then Matt Vierling plays out of position just so we have another option to play center field.
It's great for the spot because in his career he averages a 285 batting average. He's hitting 318 right now, so he's hitting great right now. He does say it's a contract year, but
I know he's hitting 318. Nobody said he's a 318 hitter, but you think he'd be 285. What's his career on base percentage?
His on base percentage for the career is 348.
So
no. It's he's been hitting 348 on base for KC and then 353 for Boston in the 5 years he was there. So around 350.
Okay, so right around 350. I mean, so if you got an on base percentage of 350, you're supposed to be hitting near the top of my lineup, right? Like that's what, like that's, like him and Alec Bohm are two guys that I would look at and go, like them hitting 1-2. Now I know you feel like all of a sudden you got to have some pop in there in the middle, but if it was Bohm and like Benintendi 1, Bohm 2, then I can hit Schwarber 3, or even when Harper's back, Harper's hitting 3 and Schwarber's cleanup, right? But now you have some options where you feel like there's guys on base in front of a guy like Schwarber when even if he's hitting me 220, 230, he's going to pop me enough homers to make it worth it. It's all going to come back around in the end. That's where I like an option like that. I don't know why Bohm's hitting 6th or 7th or wherever the fuck they hit him. It all none of that makes any sense to me. Like the guy gets on base, he doesn't strike out a ton. He has some pop, but he's not a guy that's going to hit me 30 homers. He's like the perfect 2-hitter.
Last year he walked 35 times. He's already walked 36 times this year. It's July, so he's gonna.
Who, Bohm?
No, Benintendi.
Benintendi.
So you want your leadoff guy to get on base as much as possible, whether it's him being patient, walking, or just getting a hit, and then he's been known to steal. He just hasn't done it lately because I believe he's hitting in the middle of the
nobody steals anymore. Nobody steals anymore. But yeah, he was the guy that stole 20 bases in back-to-back years, had a 2020 season with Boston, like in 2017 or whatever it was.
Yeah, 20, 21, 10. He's gone down, but he has that like mixture where he can he's going to get you maybe like 15 home runs between 60 RBIs. Like he could get you 5 to 10.
He's a guy that's perfect for what we need, right? Like we need a guy like him in the. That's the more important. It's the fit. You know what I mean? It's everything about it. He fits so perfectly for what we need in our lineup. Even when Bryce gets back, he still fits in so perfectly. I heard a silly argument from somebody today on Facebook that said, "Oh well, he can't play center field. He's not fast enough. You need to be able to be fast to play center field." I was like, what are some of you people smoking? Like some of you guys, I smoke good shit, but I apparently not good enough. I hear takes like that.
And today he hit second. He went 2 for 3, 3 runs, RBI, 2 walks, and a stolen base in the 2 spot.
Yeah. So I mean, that's exactly like the type of you want a guy hit 1 or 2, like that's exactly what we're talking about right there, and it would be perfect. And don't tell me he can't play center. He's not fast enough to play center field. I don't even know what the hell that means. Like he's not like, oh, you need to have speed to play center field.
I'll take him all day there where he gets on base.
Since who?
Where he gets on base and then Schwarber hits a home run and it's 2 instead of
he's fast enough to do all those things at a high level that we talked about.
Who's the most hated franchise in sports, the Cowboys or the Yankees? I still think you have to put the Lakers or Celtics in there too.
I think the Yankees by far, because the Yankees.
The Lakers have fallen off that, like where people.
And it's not even. It's not even like that was always a hate thing there. Like I think there was also a lot of like respect. Like I hate the Lakers, but you always respected them, right? Like Kobe, Shaq, you always respected what it was. I think there's a lot of like people actually like the Yankees are the evil empire. Or were for the longest time under George Steinbrenner. It was more a Steinbrenner thing, and then Jeter and all this, all the shit later on. It just seemed like it went on for 30 or 40 years, where you said, "God damn, like they're the evil empire of baseball. Can anybody do anything about them?" And nobody could. It got to the point where they were that dominant.
Here's one for you. I seen this come across like a few months ago. I forget who said it, but someone was in the context that Derek Jeter wouldn't be revered as he was if he wasn't a Yankee. He would just be another guy.
He wouldn't be. It's defensively. Shortstop is it's the ultimate defensive premium position, right? Like up the middle, you have to be. You have to be able to play. If you want to be considered elite, you have to be a guy that's a good defensive player. And most of the guys are great. He wasn't even a good defensive player. Like in every sense of it. Like when you when you go and look at things that measure guys range factors and things like that are really the things that matter when you're talking about positions like shortstop. Great, anybody can field a ground ball hit right to them. How many balls can you get to in the hole and up the middle and be able to make the play at first? How many guys can do, how many of those plays can you make? And Jeter was so bad as a defensive shortstop. He didn't have any range, and then he still had like 4 seasons where he had 20-plus errors or something. It's like you can't not have range and have 20-plus errors. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just really bad. And I love Jeter, the competitor, Jeter, the face of baseball, Jeter, the guy that was the ultimate winner. Love all of that about Jeter. Very overrated player, but ends up in the perfect position where everything comes together with New York, with the Yankees, where, that's how that works. That's how it works when you play, for a franchise of that caliber. But yeah, if he spent 20 years playing for the Minnesota Twins, like it's just not the same. He's Paul Molitor. Which, that's like, which another guy who had like 3,500 hits, and you're like, hey, that guy was a really, really good player. Man, how awesome was that guy? But he's not like viewed as like this god. Like Jeter's viewed as a god, and that's a little over the top. He's not like when you talk to Yankees fans, they're Yankees fans that don't try to make it seem like he's a top 10 player in baseball history. And you're like, bro, he's barely a top 10 Yankee in the history of like the franchise. Like, he's definitely not a top 5 Yankee. I'll give you 5 right now that are better without even thinking of being able to debate it. Ruth, Mantle, you had Yogi Berra, you've got Mariano Rivera, and you had Joe DiMaggio. That's 5 right there that it's like, you're Reggie. Pretty much talking about Yankee legends Reggie. Right there, that Jeter's not better than any of those 5. Not in any way, shape, or form.
And you still haven't mentioned Reggie yet either.
And then you could have some guys go, okay, let's have some fun and how many more guys go ahead of him. But at best, he's the 6th best Yankee ever. And he's turned into some sort of baseball icon, godlike figure. And that's where it becomes like, okay, this is ridiculous. This is way over the top. Now it's just getting to the point where he's being overrated. But what I hate about like saying that is most people, when they hear you say somebody's overrated, it's like the guy can be an all-time great. He can be one of the best players of our generation and be all of that while still being overrated. Both of those things can be true, So like, I don't want people to think that it's like, oh, like, how can you not think Jeter was a great player? Never said he wasn't a great player. Never said any of that. But you could be a really great player, a guy that's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, no question. And there's still be things that you talk about and say, yeah, how's this guy viewed? Oh, he's definitely overrated with the way he's viewed. He's, it's one of those most unique conversations you'll have in sports because it's really a rare thing. Like I don't know if there is another example of it.
Yeah, I mean, I still think he's probably top 10. I wouldn't even give him 6, 7, or 8. He's probably in the back end of 10.
You're probably right. I mean, if you're probably right. You know what I mean? That's something I'm trying to be really fair with my argument, saying, "Hey, he doesn't crack the top 5."
I don't have anything, bad or anything to say about Derek. It's just all the points that you've already kind of hit on just hits the home. But it's just was
Lou Gehrig better than him? I mean, I didn't even mention Gehrig. I mean, you could probably make an argument with a lot of old school baseball people that Lou Gehrig ahead of him.
You have still guys that played right around his time period that would still that it would probably.
I think the thing with Derek Jeter is the timely moments that he's had, especially in the playoffs. He's won several rings, and other than that, he's just been a normal player. Like, he didn't hit for power. He would always get like 60, 70 RBIs. He could steal, but he had this timely defensive plays, like diving into the crowd.
But see, I love you bringing it up, Daniel. That's so perfect because that comes back to the range thing we talk about.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Rollins makes that play routinely. Jimmy Rollins is underneath that ball, catching it, at a full stop. Like the only reason Jeter has to catch that ball on the run and dive into the stands is because he's such a terrible defensive shortstop that like that's how that played out. Like any good defensive shortstop makes that play with ease. And we're not talking about diving into the stands. Like that's all okay. Well, then don't suck. That's why you had to dive into the stands because you suck.
Yeah,
So,
but then he's on the Yankees, so it kind of heightens his outlook. Put him on, say,
sure, it's all part of the legend, I guess, right?
Yeah, put him on the Oakland Athletics with what he did. Would he be as highly touted as
I don't know?
Maybe
the Oakland Athletics actually get a World Series during that time. You never know.
Yeah, it's. How about this though? Even those Yankees teams that we talk about.
I just go to the fact that I think he's overblown because he was a New York Yankee. If
sure he was.
That's
the way playing in New York works.
Speaking of the A's, that play sums up his whole career of doing the flip to get the guy out in Oakland, which basically helped the Yankees win that series.
See, I think that's a better play than the one with him diving into the stands because it's a really smart baseball IQ instincts play where you've got to be really heads up to kind of read that throw the whole way to know I've got to get to this spot and I've got one chance to kind of catch this transfer, make the flip, and have a chance at it. But what's also funny about that play is how far out of position he is at the start of that play. Like he's just literally like la-di-da, like rolling around in no man's land. Like he was supposed to be backing up third base, I believe, because there wasn't going to be a play at second on that play. And I believe the pitcher's backing up home. So that leaves the shortstop there. I believe the go have to rotate over and back up third. And he's just kind of like floating out in no man's land in the middle of the infield. Sees the relay throw kind of be, okay, shit, that's going to be overthrown. Takes off on a beeline for the foul line and makes a great play. I mean, take him being out of position at the start of it. Great, you make up for it with everything else that happens after that. That's a better play than the one with him diving into the stands because it's not, again, like I said, that most shortstops make the play with him diving into the stands. That's a routine play for them. A lot of he's really heads up on that play with Oakland in the playoffs. I don't know how many other guys I know that make that play because I just don't think they would have fully committed the way he did from the start to feel like, okay, that's going to be overthrown. If I get there and get to the spot, I'll have a chance to make a play at home. Most guys probably just give up on that play long before, but that's the heart, right? Yeah. That's the part of Derek Jeter that you talk about and say that's the part, the respect that I have for him is the guy that you watch, the ultimate competitor. The dude loved the win, hated to lose, and like that's what it was all about for him. A lot like Kobe, a lot like MJ. He shared that sort of mentality, but I don't think he was ever the caliber of players that those two guys were.
I think that's fair. Any last Phillies points or baseball points before we switch it up to our next subject?
Other than what I said before, I hope they continue this winning streak. It's nice to see that the bullpen and the starting pitching are on the same wavelength right now. The pitching great, 3-game winning streak. It's continue this right now. We want to get as much of a lead as possible on St. Louis. I'm glad that we're winning these series rather than winning one just to avoid getting swept. We're winning series, we're putting in work, and we need to start winning against the division now. I think that's one thing. We're beating the Nationals, but we need to start beating the Braves and the Mets now. That's what we need to start doing.
We've got a season winning record for the series against the Cardinals, the Brewers, and the Padres, our three main competitors in the wild card. We actually have won the season series. So that'll be big if there's a tiebreaker at the end of the year because there's no longer a game 163 to decide the tiebreaker. It comes down to head-to-head record or whatever it is. So we would have the tiebreaker over those three teams. So that's big. And I love the point that the hobbies makes below us. That's exactly what it's like.
And then they made that kind of twink to the lineup. They moved up Wheeler so he could pitch against Toronto.
See, there you go. That number that you talk about, that's a worse number than Yuniesky Betancourt. Yuniesky Betancourt, was, think about that name. You're like, oh my God, I remember him. He was so bad. Like, he's like twice as bad of a defensive shortstop according to those metrics as Uneski Betancourt was. Right, the worst defensive shortstop of all time. Like, it's that bad. Like, and it's not even like, oh, you're a hater. No, like, that's what the numbers say. It's that bad.
So we got 2 games left against St. Louis. We got 2 against Blue Jays, and then we got 3-game series against the Marlins before the All-Star break. So if we could at least be over 500 in that, I want more than that. But if we can at least get that, I'll be happy.
Zach,
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, you would like to have a winning record. I want to go into the break as hot as possible. I really do.
Yeah, exactly. And then get a couple guys healthy. I know a couple guys are out right now.
Yeah. What's the update with Bryce? Has there been any update as far as I know he's going to play this year? I've heard that. Like, he's going to play. Definitely going to play again this year. But what does that mean? Like, that could mean anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out. Apparently, he won the All-Star game vote too. And
He's going to represent him. You still. It counts as like, you being an all-star.
Speaking of that, while I look, what are your thoughts on them putting through that idea that they're allowing Pujols and what's his name to go
Pujols and Miguel Cabrera?
Yeah, into the All-Star game, but it's not going to count against the lineups.
Yeah. No, it's phenomenal. I mean, that's what that's what games like the All-Star game are designed for.
Did they do that? Didn't they do it back in the day in Seattle when they did Tony Gwynn and Cal Ripken Jr.?
Yeah, I mean, there was examples. Like when the year Mike Schmidt retired, the fans actually voted him in to start the All-Star game that year, even though he retired in May, and he was there in uniform and took place in the ceremonies and all that, so that you can kind of get that like one last standing ovation sort of thing. I remember Ozzie Smith wasn't an everyday player in '96 with the Cardinals, but he got voted in, and then at the Vet in Philly, they gave him that big standing ovation, and I remember him crying at home plate and stuff. I was just a little kid, but I remember him crying because of 60,000 people giving him a standing ovation at the Vet, and I think that surprised a lot of people because the national media the national media hates when we show any type of heart like that.
Here's an update on Bryce. It says Bryce said he had 3 pins put in his left thumb. They have to be there for 3 more weeks. He declined to offer a timeline for his return.
That doesn't sound good.
It's probably a thing where it could be
have a timeline for us to return yet.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to. I don't really need let me come back
thing
September 1st with a half mangled thumb still.
No matter what happens after.
It's not good.
I think the hope is say we come into the home stretch, we're winning. It's September, and then he sees that we're still in it. Then he'll come back. But say we're out of it for some reason, then he might not come back. I think it all depends on how the team's doing coming into late August, early September, because with a thumb injury right there, that affects his hitting and throwing with it being in the field. So I can only imagine that could be something maybe mid to late August. Yeah, maybe that's me hoping because that's a month from now. So it's like 3 weeks puts him at beginning of August, and then you want to give him more time with rehab and whatnot if he can come back to at least DH right away. So it all depends on that.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be interesting to see if Bryce can make it back, guys. But let's switch gears here. Talk a little basketball. And this next segment is brought to you by manscaped.com. Make sure you guys are using that A2D 20% off code, free shipping with the code. That's manscaped.com. So make sure you're checking out all their apparel to keep the boys down under nice, clean, dry. They got all kinds of new stuff out there. They just got a new line of boxers too, all kinds of other stuff. So make sure you guys are using that code. Check it out, Manscaped, and showing the guys some love. But let's talk some basketball. Obviously, Sixers officially re-signed Harden to a 2-year deal. We still have a lot of this crazy talk about Sixers going all in for Kevin Durant. So we got a few things we want to talk about with basketball. First, I guess we'll talk about the James Harden signing. Absolutely team friendly. They got room to make another move, don't you think, guys?
It saved them $15 million on the cap. So you can't hate that.
All right, I know Zach's hype about that. We don't have to overpay for Harden this year, right?
Well, I just think it means that Maury's not done trying to make moves to bring guys in. People bitching about the PJ Tucker signing. Would you pay him all that money? Like, it's not that much money in today's NBA, and that's more of about a culture thing than it is anything else. Where you need to kind of bring some toughness and some winning, like a little bit more like toughness and accountability culture into that locker room where you got to worry about looking at that guy at the locker across from you and in the locker room after a game if you fuck something up bad enough. Which maybe is what this team needs to get over the hump. Got to look yourself in the mirror and be willing to, to accept all of that, and bring it on your shoulders instead of being defensive like Doc Rivers was in the media. Oh, would you ask Pop that question? No, but like Pop's got like 5 more rings than you do. So I mean, like I don't know what the hell. Since when did you become Phil Jackson? Like, good Lord.
And
like,
then I believe even though
fucking over here like acting like your fucking shit don't stink.
And then even though they paid Tucker, I think they used the mid-level exception on him also, so which kind of helps them out with that. They're bringing guys in. I don't want to say it, but it's basically the Philadelphia Rockets because they're bringing in.
That's been the ongoing joke that's been going
if they
on.
bring in Gordon, you're like, I don't know what the hell the point of that is. But
you got Tucker, Harden. They brought in House. He was on the Rockets. But these are guys that can play off the bench. That's the big thing. Our bench sucked last year, and we're trying to bring in shooters off the bench to add to what we have. And a lot of those signs were kind of team-friendly. And then this is before you re-sign Harden to a $15 million cheaper deal because of the contract. And so you're gaining more money now, and then you could probably add a piece or two to it.
Yeah, I still think we have a trade, and you never know what.
I don't think they're going to wind up trading for Kevin Durant.
No, I don't think they wind up trading for Kevin Durant, but I do think there's a trade looming.
Yeah, I think there's something, whether it's big or it's small, something's going to happen. He said, "What do you guys trade Harris for Kyrie?" He was just at Sparks.
Wait, Harris for Kyrie straight up? What kind of question is that? I would trade Harris, like my wife, and like probably my mother for like Kyrie. Like what?
Like Daddy's down for all that, bro.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like somebody's getting I tell you, Harris for Kyrie is like good Lord. Did we win that trade? Like that's such a one-sided trade. Like that feels like when the Lakers traded for Paul Gasol from the Grizzlies and gave up like fucking Kwame Brown is the best player in the deal or something. You're like, how'd you give up Kwame Brown and a bunch of other garbage for Paul Gasol? This is fun. How the hell did this happen? Good Lord. Like that's what that would almost be like. Why would the Nets not do that? What Tobias had? Like, I don't understand. Again,
well,
like the guy.
Wait. Did they get Marc Gasol back in that trade?
No. The Lakers initially got Pau Gasol, right?
Oh, well, when they initially got him with the Memphis Grizzlies, the Memphis Grizzlies got back his brother, Marc Gasol.
They might have, but Marc Gasol's garbage juice. Like he
was better than his brother. He was better than Paul. It's just that Paul was on a better team.
If we're comparing career, Pau Gasol is probably a Hall of Famer. Marc Gasol is not sniffing it. So, like.
I don't know.
Come on. Like Marc Gasol was not a better player than Pau Gasol. No chance.
He was also on the Memphis Grizzlies, and they did good there.
Great. Zach Randolph was on the Memphis Grizzlies, and
but the thing with the
he averaged 20 a game. Marc Gasol's on the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know what your excuse is. That like because he's on the Memphis Grizzlies, he can't.
He was averaging 25 a game on Memphis.
Well, after the Lakers traded him.
Yeah, because Marc Gasol never played. They drafted him, and he got traded right away to Memphis for his brother. That was the kind of ironic.
We gotta go back and look at this fucking trade. I don't even know if you're fucking telling the truth. After you told me a few weeks back that Donovan McNabb finished second in MVP voting back-to-back years, and
hey, he was fourth. I was close. At least
no, that was Cordell Stewart. That was fourth.
At least it wasn't that bad. Where I'm like, oh my god, he finished second, and then he wound up finishing 15th. You know.
Why would Tobias Harris for Kyrie Like
I'd do it even though we wouldn't have a position for him. Yeah, like
I
I'd
don't
do it
even.
anyway.
He said the Lakers are willing to trade Westbrook. Yeah, because Westbrook's a fucking point guard. So you're trading one like overpaid shitty point guard for a guy that might be overpaid, but at least doesn't suck and is way younger. Like why would they accept Harris?
And then the Nets would get back at first likely because the Lakers would have to give up some more capital to make the trade because of Westbrook. They're going to take him in, but for the fact that they want to get a first-round pick with him because it's more notion to bring him in and get that young talent because they've already given up a lot.
The Nets, there's no way you can convince me the Nets will trade Kyrie for Tobias Harris straight up.
No
way, no how.
Not.
It's Tobias Harris, it's Matisse Thybulle, and it's like 2 future first-round picks, but maybe even a couple other carries on top there. Like you're like
I'm a defender of Harris, but there's no way he's better than Westbrook.
Like, I mean,
but then again, he's better for a basketball team than Westbrook is because of the way Westbrook plays.
Do people think Tobias Harris is going to like refine his magic from like 5 years ago or something? Like, I don't understand. Like, I know Harris has always been a good role player, but people act like, remember when he signed here, it was like, oh, he's going to be a part of a big three. A big three what? Like I don't what a big you mean he's no, like wait. This now we're getting, can anybody be a big three? Are we a big three? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I don't understand this infatuation, whatever the fuck you call it.
I think technically we got the poor man's big three. You got Embiid, Harden, and Maxey, right?
And speaking of the Rockets,
that might not even be a poor man's anymore. That's close to an actual big three.
And speaking of the Philadelphia Rockets, we are linked to Markieff Morris now. He was on the Rockets.
That would be another good signing. He's a Philly kid. He grew up in Philly. Like, no, Harris is not way better than Westbrook. That's so, that's no. Fuck you, Yankees. You fucking fucks.
What happened?
What happened in the Red Sox game?
The Yankees took a 3-1 lead.
Daniel, what we got on the fights, bro?
They're
tell me who to bet on.
They're in the middle of starting the main card. It's that gap between the prelim and the main.
Give Zach some bets. He wants to throw some money around tonight.
I'm going with Michael Johnson over Malarkey. He's a plus 220 underdog. I'm going with him by knockout. Going with him.
Look at this. Oh, they got a lefty coming in the Red Sox game that's got hair like mine. Swear to God, it's like if I was athletic, like and left-handed, it would be me.
Everything else is favorites. Sorry, that's the underdog that I have, and that's the first fight.
So Michael Johnson. Now I have to bet him by knockout, or can I just bet him on the money line?
You can bet him on money line because the money line is plus 220. I'm just betting on the knockout because if he's going to win, more than likely it's going to be that, and you can probably get really good odds on it. But go with money line.
I don't know. I want to combine a couple things with Novak Djokovic tomorrow, so I just need a couple guys on the money line.
So I got him. I got, of course, I really like Kai Browell.
I just want to answer the question, Amanda. Ask the question. Go ahead. Shoot. But what are you guys thinking on Kevin Durant? Obviously, a lot of people here.
He wants to go to Phoenix. He came out and said, "I want to go to Phoenix." So
he said Phoenix and Miami, right? Those are the two destinations I heard.
But he did come out and say his number one spot is Phoenix. I guess Miami would be the consolation for him.
1B, 1A, and 1B.
Yeah. But I think Miami would be better position-wise, like to do a trade because they have all that talent there. Because Phoenix has a bunch of people, but they don't have the talent that Miami has. Like Miami is basically doing what they did back when they got Shaq. They had all those great players, but not a star. Like they had Wade, they had like Crowd Butler, they had Lamar Odom and whatnot, and they were just missing that one guy to pair and they wind up trading Butler and Odom to get Shaq, and then it was Shaq and Dwayne Wade, and then the rest is history. They won a ring because of it.
I think the Heat would be in good position because, I mean, if you're talking about, okay, so both teams, where does a trade start? I think with the Heat, you've got a better package immediately with the idea that Tyler Hero is probably the lead name in that package. And you go, okay, we can build a package around Tyler Hero. Now you're talking to me. Phoenix, can you beat, like, what's your lead guy in your package? They're not going to probably give you DeAndre Ayton. They're just probably, like, that's probably, no, they probably wouldn't do that. They're not giving you Devin Booker. There would be no point of Chris Paul. So what becomes their next best option? Mikal Bridges?
I think it would be DeAndre Ayton. I think
it would have to be if they wanted to match Miami. And I don't even know, is Ayton, I mean, big men, especially big men that are just by themselves without any help. I mean, and it's not like Ayton's like it, he's a nice big man when you combine him with everything else that's there. But is he going into the Nets with nobody else on that roster and being the guy? Fuck no. Tyler Hero could go in there and drop 30 a night though. But Tyler Hero can flat out stroke it.
But then the problem is they have Bam Adebayo on the already as their big man. So it's like you don't really need that. So it's like Phoenix really can't do anything. So it makes me think maybe it's Miami, and what Miami can do to get Kevin Durant is offer Tyler Hero, maybe offer Bam Adebayo.
Bam becomes the other name. If they offer both Hero and Bam, it's over, isn't it?
And then,
that's almost over.
And then like a first round pick, just for
Kevin Durant. Then you're giving up multiple future first round picks. But like that's almost right there. You're like, wow, I'm getting like a 2-for-1. Like Durant doesn't want to be here, and I'm getting two guys that are probably going to be future all-stars.
Because you're getting a shooter and a Hero. He's been showcased that he's can shoot very well. You're getting a big man in Bam who can score, rebound, and defend, and then he could pass too. Like he averaged 5 or 6 assists a game. And then
he's one of the better big men in basketball for sure.
Yeah, and it'll be crazy. It'll be crazy. The funny thing is they still have Ben Simmons on the Nets, so they would have to pair Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I mean, and Ben Simmons plays well with Tyler Hero. He probably doesn't play all that well with DeAndre Ayton.
No.
Plays a lot better. He plays a lot better with Tyler Hero. I'll tell you that much because Hero can shoot from the perimeter.
But it'd be funny if like a team. Well, maybe. Do you think the Nets try and do something else where they throw in like a Joe Harris too to see if they could get more out of it?
It's possible. Brooklyn could also be thinking we're also Brooklyn, so it's not like we're like an unpopular destination for free agents, but you got to have some substance to try to sell to guys. You can't just sell them smoke and mirrors. So if you say, okay, we've got Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo to go along with Ben Simmons, now all of a sudden you can sell a little bit to some free agents and be like, hey, who wants to come play? Let's see if we can actually build something here. We tried. It blew up in our face. But, hey, there's something here now. If we can just add, one or two more, even one real, big guy in free agency here. I think that's what Brooklyn's thinking. Whether it's realistic or not is another story.
To go back to this the second, Amanda asked, does anyone think that Harper will be playing in the All-Star game? And also, when do you think Gene Segura will be back? And what do you think of the Phillies bullpen? He's not going to be playing in the All-Star game. He's going to worry about just healing that hand. And then Gene Segura, I believe his timetable is mid-August, I think his timetable. And then the bullpen has been –
the Spurs for Durant?
But why would they do that after they just traded Deontay Murray?
Yeah, and then Murray came out and said that part of the reason that trade happened was because the Spurs were going through this rebuilding phase and they respected his wishes, and there was enough mutual respect on both sides for them to respect his wishes of not wanting to be a part of what was a rebuilding phase and wanting to have a chance to go compete and win. So, that wouldn't make any sense, no.
No, like it just Miami just fits the mold of
Miami really does. It almost seems like the perfect spot.
Yeah, it just like I said before, it's just like Miami before where they had all those good players, but they needed that spark, and then it was Shaq, and now it'd be Kevin Durant. Durant could come in. Can you imagine Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler? Because
one guy's just an absolute killer, and then one guy, when he wants to be, is the best player in basketball.
Kevin Durant doesn't have to come in there and carry the load because Jimmy Butler is already there shooting and being the team leader. So he can come in there, fit just right in with him. Those are your top two guys, and then they already have a bunch of shooters on that team, and then they play defense. So
yeah. Now, part of what I've heard, from what I've heard and the things that I've been reading, is that Bam Adebayo is somebody that the Heat consider to be like untouchable in trades. So I don't think they'd want to give up both Hero and Bam, because then you're looking at it, you know. I think part of the idea of a Durant trade would be to have a big three of Butler, Durant, and Bam, you know, like, or, you know, I guess Hero if you had to, but I think they'd prefer Butler, Durant, and then Bam, because it just seems like all three of them really play well and fit one another's games very well. And it's, you know, you got three guys that can do different things, right? They're not all the same player. If they trade both Hero and Bam, then what is it? Just Durant and Butler with whatever else you can kind of put around it at that point. I don't know if you feel like they're that much better at that point.
Because right now, this isn't updated, but they have Lowry, Max Strus is why they're throwing Tyler Hero on the trade block, because they really like Max Strus and he came in strong in the playoffs.
They like a lot of guys, but you don't have anything else that's like established at the level that we're talking about.
You got Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson, and Bam Adebayo. I would think that between Robinson and Hero, they would want to keep at least one of the two, because
you want to have a shooter there.
Yeah, they want to keep that. Dwayne Dedman, they got Gabe Vincent, Tyler Hero. I think they still have. Do they still have Victor Oladipo? I think they do, and then Adonis Haslam. So it's like I could see him doing that, where they would have. You could trade
Hero and Oladipo. Hero, Oladipo, and then multiple picks in the future, sort of thing.
And the thing is, if they were to trade Oladipo, they would likely have to get something back in return for him, because he's not really a good piece back right now, because he gets hurt too much, and he was already playing a big of a role on Miami.
Yeah, well, that's what we're saying. Hero is kind of the lead part of the package, and then you got a guy like Oladipo. Maybe you could package, one of these other young guys that you talk about that they really like, a couple other young guys that they really like, and a couple future picks, and just roll with the idea that we'll roll with what's established. And if some of those guys develop, that is what it is.
I don't think the Nets would have to trade Simmons. I think.
No.
Right now that they plan on using.
I don't think anybody would want Simmons. Like, you're kind of stuck with him if you're Brooklyn. That is what it is.
He would have to use him. And it would not be a legal trade if they trade Bam and Hero and a pick for Durant, because of what you're getting back. You're getting back an all-star and then a young player who can start or come off the bench, and then a pick for Kevin Durant, who doesn't want to be on the team anymore. Right. So you're getting value back for him.
Not yet. Later on, as soon as I get off.
Yes. I'm kind of high right now. The hobbies, and I've been drinking a little bit, but I don't like Tyler Hero. You're acting like Tyler Hero's ass cheeks or something. Nobody's. First of all, Kevin Durant. Like this is like the argument in Moneyball when like all the scouts are sitting around and Billy Bean's character's there is like, you guys keep trying to talk about who we can sign to replace Giambi. And there's a reason that Jason Giambi is Jason Giambi. You're not going to replace him with just one guy, right? But we can sign 4 of these guys, and it can equal one Giambi. Yeah,
just remember when Carmelo got traded to the Nuggets, they didn't get a star like him, but they got 4 players that equaled up to it. The Knicks wound up going down, and then the Nuggets turned into a playoff team without him.
Kevin Durant's still, when he wants to be the best player in the game. When he's motivated enough to be that way, he can be that guy. Yeah, you're not like Tyler Hero. He's nowhere near as good as Kevin Durant. Of course he's not. But Hero in a package with some other guys might be the best you can fucking do if you're Brooklyn. And, that's what you're going to, it's better to do that than it is to, let him walk and get nothing. Wow, let's go. Red Sox just hit a monster home run.
Now, put it out there, the Hobbs. What would you say is a better trade between the Heat and the Nets? If that's not going to work, we went through the roster, and those are the likely pieces that they'll likely have to get back. And
I don't even understand what the fuck's illegal. Even if it was okay, well, nobody said they would take Bam. So what if? So take Bam out of it.
Is it you don't want him to go to the Nets, or you don't think that he would get traded to the Nets? I think he just doesn't want Bam to go to the Nets.
Yeah, I don't know what that. I mean, yeah, that's all really silly to me. If I'm Miami, I mean, I still might. If I had to give up Hero and Bam, I still might do it. Hero, Bam, and 2 firsts, make it happen. I mean, I still might.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think Miami's going to try to do everything that they could to not include both guys. But what? So what? Yeah, I mean, hobbies. If it's not one of these, if it's not the Heat, does Phoenix have? I mean, if you go back to the Phoenix deal and you say, okay, they trade Ayton. Nobody said stops. I know. Okay, so Bam can't go to the Nets. Nobody said he was. We said Tyler Hero will. Okay, so does that make your precious little heart feel better? Bam Adebayo gets to stay in Miami, and he's a part of a big 3 with Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler. We're on the same page here. So Tyler Hero is the lead part of the Miami package. What do you say Phoenix has to offer better? And go.
And as you're doing that right now, the first fight of the UFC Fight Night, the main card just started. Michael Johnson, Jamie Mullarkey.
This isn't. There's no way this can be true. If that was true, then no fucking team would try to tank to get multiple first-round picks. Because then the plan would be then the plan would be to try to sign back-to-back studs, right, and be able to sign them both. That's not even true. That's not true because Booker's on his original rookie max extension, and they're about to sign Ayton to a rookie max extension. So I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about there.
I think what the real thing is 2 max extensions in general, not rookie, and then you have a chance to get a 3rd one. I think that's
we're stuck on Miami and the Suns because Kevin Durant literally said, "I'm going to Miami or the Suns." And if you're Kevin Durant, I know like the saying is you can't have your cake and eat it too. But when you're Kevin Durant, you damn sure can. That's exactly what happens. He can have his cake and he can eat it too, motherfucker.
Imagine he gets traded and then you get the decision part 2 with Kevin Durant.
Oh my God! Please don't.
I feel like is it the Hobbs or the Hobbies? Is he trolling us, Steven? Are we being trolled? Who's this guy? Is this like your cousin or something from like Conshohocken?
Because when you think about
my cousins would be from Elmira, New York, so he wouldn't care about anything we're talking about when it came to this.
Because when you think about Kevin Durant here, we've given shit to LeBron James for all the shit that he did go from team to team. Wouldn't you think that Kevin Durant has been worse than LeBron James in it? Because how many teams has he been on now?
They're both sure. But yeah, Durant's worse just in the sense that it's one thing for you to jump teams. At least LeBron can say he won some championships in that process. What Durant literally, and the one title that Durant won looks even worse now because Steph has gone back and won another one with a completely different core. Than the one when the last time KD was there. They've got Wiggins and Poole and guys like that are now a huge part of that core. So like for Durant, you're like, oh, like you left Golden State on this idea, trying to sell this idea that you were the reason that Golden State, that dynasty became what it was, and you leave to go do your own thing. And now it really comes back that you're just kind of a guy that, it's like the numbers are real sexy and everything there about you. Like, yeah, he is. Like offensively, he can be the best player in basketball when he wants to be. But at some point, you can't continue to try to sit there and do this thing where I'm going to put myself in the perfect position for me because I get to demand that because I'm Kevin Durant when you've got one championship to your name, and that's where it's just LeBron. As much as I hate it, he can do whatever he wants. He can continue to do it because teams go, okay, went to Miami, they won a title. Came back to Cleveland, they won a title. Went to LA, they won a title. Okay, well that's a good track record of going places and winning. So.
No, but here's our favorite troll, Zach, or say favorite trolls in the chat.
But here's the funny point of this whole Kevin Durant thing. The other day, it came out that Golden State put out a call for Kevin Durant, and a name that was floated around was Andrew Wiggins, which is really crazy to me.
I mean, they would like Golden State would just no, like that. There's just no way But they would be a team that would technically have all that. But why? Like, if you're Golden State, why? Like, you've just literally rebuilt. Like, you've moved on from the Kevin Durant era and rebuilt your championship roster to a point where you could go back and do this again and be just as competitive again next year. There's no reason for you to have to give up Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga, and whatever else they would have to give up to get Durant again. That's just silly.
Without Curry and Curry and Draymond Green, and then to an extent Thompson, even though Thompson hasn't played for a couple of years, so he might have added on to the end of his playing career by not playing these past 2 years. They were towards the mid to late end of their careers. Now you got these young guys right here who could take over eventually. And if you bring in Kevin Durant, you're going to win. You might win now, but with how Wiggins did, why would you trade Wiggins? Like, he had a great end of the season. He played great in the playoffs as well.
Like he's found a home there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's grown into like a guy that feels like, I finally have a home and my career is stable. There's no reason to fuck any of that up.
And then they won with Green again as the one of the big guys with Lee because Wiseman got hurt. But imagine if Wiseman can stay healthy and start to play well. That would be another piece. That
watch him end up in Boston.
Yeah, he could. He could.
I mean,
don't know what they give up for him because.
Well, if you're Boston, you probably start. You're not going to give up Tatum. Right. So it probably starts with Jaylen Brown. But even if you give up Jaylen Brown, that's such a good starting point. It's not like you have to give up Jaylen Brown and then another like high level. But why would you trade Wiggins, Poole, Wiseman, Kuminga, and 2 first rounds for Durant at this point? Like, that's going backwards.
Got another one. Steve, Zach, he wants to hear this one.
Yeah, he is a slightly above average player, but it's about a culture that doesn't exist in your locker room right now. We don't know what it takes to win. We don't understand the personal accountability side of how to, go from where you're at now to become even better because you're already really good. So how do you become even better when you're already this good? He's a guy that is going to bring that extra, that extra toughness, that extra, measurement of you got to look yourself in the mirror every single day sort of thing that I think Joel Embiid was talking about after the year about, we need to bring in some tougher guys, some guys that, that are some killers that, want to go out and get it and that won't accept losing and failure. It's not okay to them. And that's where guys like Tucker and Morris, become really good ideas for cheap. I do agree with Boston. He's not going to New Orleans. Nobody wants to go play in New Orleans. Okay, like, stop it. He's Kevin Durant. He's not like stop. Like, nobody wants to go to New Orleans.
I think what he's saying is they have the capital to make.
It's not about having the capital, right? Like, this is the way the NBA works. Like, unless you were like again, like you said you were born in '94. I was just trying to troll you earlier, bro. Like, I wasn't like trying to call you some dumb kid. Me and you are right around the same age, so we've been around the NBA to see long enough when superstars leave to pursue better opportunities. This has been since the beginning of time, right? I mean, hell, Charles Barkley ends up in a couple different situations where he was trying to go steal a ring with Phoenix, then with Houston. Scottie Pippen leaves Chicago, ends up with Houston, right? And him and Charles have the whole feud where Charles should have thanked me for coming to play with his big fat butt, like all types of ego involved with that, So we're even talking about super team type stuff that was still going on in the NBA. Then the Celtics, Garnett and Allen. Then LeBron leaves. When these guys leave and they go pursue other opportunities, they end up manipulating the situation to get, to end up going wherever they want to go. He's not leaving Brooklyn to go to New Orleans. Like, that's just not a realistic possibility. I would love it for the competitiveness factor of the NBA. I would love it. But the NBA is about money and selling tickets at the end of the day. And him going to New Orleans and leaving Brooklyn is just like a PR marketing nightmare if you're the NBA and if you're Kevin Durant, to be honest. Guys like Durant look at themselves as a brand, right? Guys like these elite players in sports, they view themselves as more than just athletes. They're a brand. So he's a guy that, just like LeBron and all these other guys, he views himself as a brand. And if you're trying to grow a brand, you don't go to New Orleans, right? Like you don't leave New York for New Orleans. That doesn't make any sense. You might, New York to Boston, sure, that's a lateral move. New York, Miami, sure. Miami's still just as popping, sure. New York, LA, yeah, we can do LA. Phoenix is an hour flight from LA. Sure, we can make that happen. Vegas is an hour. A lot of different places there. Okay, cool, that works. New Orleans, like what the fuck's he doing there?
You're right. They don't.
Well, they have to trade him if he says they have to trade him. Let's be honest. I mean, that's the way that works, right? The Nets don't have to trade KD. I guess not. I mean,
No.
but like they kind of do.
But if he's telling you he wants to be traded, he doesn't want to be there, you want to at least get rid of him when his value is high. And if he keeps on saying trade, the value is going to go down because he's going to make every chance that he can get out. So you want to
don't play hardball with guys like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's made enough money in his career. He might just tell you to fuck you and I'll sit out the whole year. Oh, I'm retired. Remember the old Ron Gronkowski move? Oh, you've been traded to Detroit. No, I'm retired. How can I be traded to Detroit? I'm not. I'm retired. You can't trade a retired player. At this point, like, why would Kevin Durant's not going to go play anywhere he doesn't 1,000% want to be? And you really think I get it. I get why New Orleans is like intriguing, but like, think about how like a guy like Durant, how frustrating it would be for him to play with a fat, lazy piece of shit like Zion Williamson. Like, oh my God, it would drive him fucking insane. Think about it.
Well, maybe Zion would be a piece that gets traded away.
Maybe, but if you're New Orleans, what's the point of that? What's the point of getting Durant be so you can pair him with Ingram and Zion and feel like you've got something?
No, I'm saying if you trade him away, then you forget they have CJ McCollum there too.
Great. I've got CJ McCollum. Is this CJ McCollum from like 7 years ago, or are we talking about CJ McCollum of 2022?
Did you not see him last year on the?
Yeah, I saw him. He's not going to. Yeah, and when you don't have Kevin Durant on your roster, sure, CJ McCollum has tons of scoring opportunities. The minute Kevin Durant's taking away all your scoring opopportunities, CJ McCollum's getting me 10 a game, which is cool. That's fine. Like, I don't think he's a superstar in this league anymore. He's a good player.
He was getting 20 a game as the number 2.
Yeah. How many basketballs are they going to play with, Daniel? Are we still playing with one? Because between Ingram and Durant, those two might fight over the basketball themselves. Okay, let's be honest. They did. I'm not like that's not. See, this is what you see. What the fuck I'm talking about? How people can't see. Well, the Pels made a good run. No fucking kidding. We all watched the same NBA season. Since when do superstars leave their current destinations to go to piece of shit fucking cities like New Orleans that don't fucking draw for nothing? Like, New Orleans is a great entertainment city, shitty sports city. Doesn't draw for nothing outside the Saints, and it didn't draw for shit with the Saints until Drew Brees got there.
They're a football town first and
they're a football town. Right? They don't give a fuck about anything else outside of that.
I don't care what
Kevin Durant's going to go play in New Orleans. Why? For what reason?
It's either college football or pro football. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
so
all
Kevin Durant can get lost in the LSU talk. Between LSU and the Saints, the Pelicans will always be third fiddle.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I said my rebuttal would be they have the pieces, then they have the team to where they could add him and be a legitimate title contender.
But that
add a guy like Kevin Durant.
That would be like that would be like LeBron going to any of those cities. Like, it's a reason why, like, LeBron, when LeBron left, Cleveland, it's go to Miami because I can build a brand in Miami. Same thing with LA. The only reason he went back to Cleveland the first time after leaving Miami was because he's a Cleveland kid and he felt like there was unfinished business and he had to go back to his hometown and bring it home for his old hometown. But if he was born in like I don't know, fucking Indianapolis or something, like, there would be no reason for him to go back to Cleveland at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just so happened he was born in the area. I agree. KD, Ingram, and Zion. So Zion stinks, and I agree with Daniel. I don't like if you're the Pelicans, who are you giving up then to get KD? If you're not giving up Zion or Ingram, so if you're saying the Pelicans are getting KD, they must be giving up Zion because you're not giving up Ingram. And you're probably not giving up McCollum. Yeah, the Pelicans do. Kevin Durant's already got a chip. He don't give a fuck about going to win another championship. He wants to go play in whatever fucking city is worth him playing in because he's made it up in his mind that that's where he wants to be. See, like, what is it with like these fans that? Yeah, they'll be the best team in the West with KD. Not everybody's motivated by this idea of going to try to win. Okay, that's not how pro sports work. If Damian Lillard was motivated by winning, he would have left Portland a long time ago. But instead, he just signed a 2-year, $120 million contract because Portland was stupid enough to give it to him. So, and then in 2 years, when we're talking about, well, when is Portland going to do anything to help Damian Lillard win? I don't know. Maybe you don't pay him $60 million a year, and it would be a lot easier. But at this point, Damian Lillard's made the decision. Okay, I'm a legend here in Portland. I'll be like Portland's all-time greatest player ever. I got two options here: make as much money as I possibly can, and make as much money as I possibly can, which he's doing, and maximize all of that. We'll try to leave and go win a championship. He's made his decision there. I think we should all. When has Kevin Durant ever shown that he wants to be a winner? When has he ever shown that he's going to jump? Like he didn't join the Warriors. He joined the Warriors because they had already won a championship, and he was like, "Fuck this! It's the easy way out." He's never proven to be like the Pelicans aren't a put together championship team. You know what I mean? Like that's not the way that works. They're going to give up 5 picks in McCollum. Oh, okay, yeah, that'll make it happen. That really moves the needle. Yep. Because then the Pelicans go make the playoffs each of the next 3-4 years, and those picks are absolutely worthless. So what's the fucking point of that?
Nowadays, you got to give up at least a couple players, and then.
Well, yeah, I am high. What the hell does that have to do with anything? I think better when I'm high.
What does it matter if he's high?
You know who's high? Yeah, that's so irrelevant. But you know who's high? Anybody that thinks that superstars want to go play in New Orleans outside of being drafted there. Like Brandon Ingram got traded there. Good for him. I think Brandon Ingram, like, what do you think? He's not darting the first person he fucking gets as soon as his new contract is up?
Oh, yeah, he did. The Lakers drafted him second, and then he got traded there. Then, of course, McCollum got drafted there.
And the last time this what? Reggie Bush?
Like, Drew Brees happened by accident for New Orleans, right? And it's probably like the best thing that's ever happened to them. And the only reason Drew Brees happened to New Orleans is because the Dolphins made a shitty Dolphins decision and went with Dante Culpepper over Drew Brees. And the rest is history on that one. But that was a stupid decision. Now, whether or not Drew Brees works out with Miami and Nick Saban or whatever the fuck that situation is, the way he would, in New Orleans with, Sean Payton, well, we'll never know. Sean Payton had a lot to do with that success, sure. But, that all happened by accident, right? Like that happened because they were one of the few teams that was willing to pull the trigger on him. He wasn't an established superstar when he left the Chargers the way KD is.
By the way, Michael Johnson won by decision.
See, look at you with your stupidness. You got to bet Michael Johnson because the only way he's going to win is by knockout. Can't I just bet him on the money line? No, bet him to win by knockout. That's the only way he's going to win.
No. What did I tell you? I said you could bet on the money line. That'd be perfectly fine because it's plus 220. So don't try and tell me I tried to coerce you into doing.
You said, but he's going to win. It'll most likely be by knockout. So that's the angle. That's the angle. Steven, you heard him. He said that's the angle. He tried to sell that as the angle. Don't lie.
And I was trying to tell you, you do it. Like personally, I would have done knockout and I would have busted, but then I'm not going to tell you that.
I mean, okay, so I've been talking long enough. I mean, somebody sit here and tell me I'm wrong about the Durant thing. Like, when is Kevin Durant, like you know what the fuck I'm talking? He's always tried to take the easy way out. And it has nothing to do with, like, if he wanted to win championships, he would have never signed with the fucking Nets and handpicked Steve Nash as his coach. Well, very few people are a centerpiece for KD. And maybe if the Heat have to give up Bam instead of Hero, they will. But I doubt, I think Miami's going to try to, spin that towards Hero. We didn't say that was all they were going to give up, was only Tyler Hero. You're the one that – who the fuck tried to say they should trade Tobias Harris for Kyrie, straight up, as if that was a fair trade? I mean, what the fuck are we talking about here? Steven, Steven, you go ahead, because you've been sitting back and letting me and Daniel go at it. But I mean, are my thoughts off base with how I'm coming about the Durant angle?
I do agree with you. I don't think it was to win. I think it was he already knew what they had, and bringing himself to Golden State was the quickest, easiest way to add that championship to his resume. I agree. that going to Brooklyn had absolutely nothing to do with winning a championship. It was about building that brand, building that KD brand. Where we're at now, stuff like I don't know if the Suns with Miami. I think they'll do whatever they have to do to make that one happen, just because of the simple fact I don't think they want to upset Jimmy Butler anymore, and I think they're going to do whatever they can to make him happy, Durant there to make a run, push push the envelope, challenge Boston, challenge Milwaukee, challenge Philadelphia, and see what happens that way. I don't know if Miami is a spot, but I agree that Kevin Durant is mostly motivated about promoting himself, not an actual, guy who's hungry for victory, hungry for championships, things of that nature.
Okay. Yeah. Well, look at us actually agreeing on something. That's
right. What the fuck? Is it a full
so,
moon night?
So then, did either one of you see the offer that apparently Minnesota, the Timberwolves, had apparently offered? Or no, apparently they had inquired. They called Brooklyn to inquire about Kevin Durant and what it would take to get Durant. And where apparently the conversation ended was where Brooklyn demanded, I believe they demanded both Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards to go along with like 4 future first-round picks. And Minnesota obviously said no. Because what's the point of getting Kevin Durant if you no longer have Karl Anthony Towns or Anthony Edwards? But I love Brooklyn and the audacity on the Nets part. Be like, yeah, you can have him. Like, we'll say Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards and all of your future first-round picks.
See, this goes right back to what me and you were talking about. Utah is nowhere. Kevin
another right. See, another city, right? Like if Utah's had so many good players, but nobody's ever wanted to stay there since like the Jazz days with Stockton and Malone when the league was much different. Gordon Hayward dipped out. Donovan Mitchell's about to dip out. Like. Again, that it's like one of those things where they'd be like, great, what's KD going to go sign in Utah? Because him and Donovan Mitchell would be a great fucking 1-2 punch. Like that's just not the way the league works. Like on paper that all makes sense. Now, there's a lot of teams on paper. You had Kevin Durant too, and they look fucking filthy. But that's not the way the league operates.
Daniel, what's going on with the fights, brother? Because it's getting about that time, right?
Well, Michael Johnson got robbed. It went to Malarkey somehow, so thank God no one bet that. So he got robbed.
Who? What Malarkey?
He's the one who fought Michael Johnson. They went to the judges because I was
His
watching.
His name is Malarkey?
Jamie Malarkey.
Meaning he got the shaft
by the judges.
Wait, he's an old man with Malarkey.
That's his last name.
Wait, hold on. He's a grown man with the last name Malarkey.
He's from New Zealand.
Oh, man.
You can't trust the judges in MMA.
All right, now you're talking. Now this guy's talking malarkey.
Yeah.
There's malarkey.
Do we have two of the hot? That's why I think this guy's a troll. I've seen like two. Like they both have the same fucking name, but they seem to be arguing against each other. Like, I'm so confused right now. I'm really like. He was like, are you high? Like, yeah, I'm really like, I'm high enough where this is really confusing me. Like,
oh, snap.
I don't know. Maybe I like Tyler Hero more than most people. I don't know I think Tyler Hero is going to be an all-star at some point soon. So, I mean, whatever.
You guys want to talk some football before?
Well, you got to talk some football, don't you? I mean, good Lord.
I mean, I think, it's been a few weeks since we've been on, and, Eagles are kind of been, kind of nominated one of those top 5 most improved teams, through some of these various sites.
Yeah, I love the top 5 sleeper teams.
Jordan Malata getting a lot of love over the last month.
Speaking of New Zealand,
arguably the best left tackle in football at this point in time. We'll see how it plays out through this year. I have to say he's without a doubt over the past 2 seasons the most improved left tackle in football.
You know what I like most about the AJ Brown trade right now is the fact that AJ Brown, he seems to be the guy that's put this whole. It's like when Jimmy Rollins came out and said, we're the team to beat, right? Like AJ Brown's kind of been the guy that's embraced this whole like, I'll say whatever the fuck I feel like I need to say. This is how I feel about how good this team can be, and I'll ride and die with that and whatever backlash comes with it. And somebody needs to have the balls to stand up on this team and say something like this because it don't really seem like anybody else does. And he's got the personality. That's just him. He's not afraid. He doesn't hide from that. And I like that. I think somebody, I think there's plenty of players on this team that believe that, but like nobody really is that type of guy where they'd come out and ruffle feathers in that way, especially with the way the Philadelphia media is. And AJ Brown's like, fuck that. Like, like this team can go places. Like you got no idea how good this team can be. And I like that. I like that attitude. I like when players are smelling themselves in that way and they make it publicly known. Like we think we're the shit this year. We think we're gonna be that good. Now come do something about it. All right, cool. I
think it was that Miles Sanders came out with the All-Star comment. He's got a team of All-Stars, this, that, and the third. And I think the media came back to him and kind of like he rebuffed a little bit, but
this is why people like Miles Sanders shouldn't speak.
What happened?
I said this is why people like Miles Sanders should just be quiet and let people like AJ Brown do the talking. This kind of comes back to it. Kind of brings my whole point full circle of like, yes, like some people know how to do this trash talk game and other people don't. And like it seems like Sanders anytime guys like say Miles Sanders or Jalen Reagor open their mouth to say anything, it sounded like they were whining more than anything else, right? Like, it didn't sound like there was like, this wasn't like us like smelling ourselves. It just sounds like they're whining and complaining. AJ Brown's like it's the complete opposite. When he opens his mouth, there's substance to it. It makes you feel like, oh damn, that guy got my attention. That's like when CM Punk drops a pipe bomb. You're like, okay, pipe bomb incoming. Is this an MJF promo, guys? I'm sorry.
I like what the swagger AJ's bringing. I disagree with Miles coming out and sitting there, trying to pump them up with the, this is an all-star team thing and things of that nature. Not yet. I believe, memory serves me, there's only 4 or 5 active members on the Eagles roster that actually been to a Pro Bowl and actually played in a Pro Bowl. Actually been elected.
I think collectively, like when you look at it, it really is one of those teams. I think for me, you look at all sports and you go, some teams have that one guy where you're like, wow, what a stud that guy is, and it's always the guy. Like, I don't know if we've got that one stud, but we really do just top to bottom. It's a really, really solid.
You look at it like
it's good in every area.
We have the best, youngest, most experienced offensive line in football. You have one of the more dangerous dual threats as what you have in that mold of a quarterback in Jalen Hurts. We still have to see if his arm's gonna match what his feet can do. We're gonna see if his football IQ's proved over the last season. We do have one of the better running games in football. Then you go and you have one of the top 5 tight ends in football, who's probably one of the best route runners. Then you pair that with Devontae Smith and then AJ Brown, on top of the fact that Quez Watkins is probably one of the best slot guys in the game right now, who can stretch the field for you. You have a pretty fun offense on top of what you've already done on defense. So yeah, I get what you're saying. You have guys who are exciting, guys who are one of the best or best up and coming at that position. Can't sit there and say that you're an all-star team yet.
The list that listed the top 5 like sleeper teams had us third. That's there was a good list outside of the Bengals being at the top. You're like, they just went to the Super Bowl last year. They've got they got the new Joe Namath
trio over there.
Like Joe Burrow, he's the new Joe Cool. Like he really does. He reminds you of Joe Namath. He shows up the fucking stadiums in fur coats and shit, and it's like 80 degrees. You're like, bro, like it's not even cold out. Like you're just in a fur coat because you want to be fucking cool. And you got that much swagger where you actually make it happen. You don't come across as a tool bag. It's actually real. Like How is Cincinnati? Like, top 10 up and coming sleeper teams like that. They're not. They've got, and then they've got
They have
Jamar
a
Chase.
really
You're
good
like, how do you have Burrow and
I
Chase?
think
And there's any
their
this
strong
isn't a
point is
sleeper
their
team.
offense. I think they're a lot like us. They're really, really strong on offense. They have a three-headed monster. Their biggest question mark has been their defense. I think they addressed some things on defense. I also think we addressed more things on defense than we have on offense. We have to see how this all plays out. Do I think that the Bengals and the Eagles are probably one of the more predominant up-and-coming teams, some sleeper teams, except for this upcoming season? Yeah, they should be. I don't know if the Eagles should be really on that list, considering they made the playoffs last year. Same thing with the Bengals. Can't sit there and be called the most improved team if you've already made the playoffs. Wouldn't be.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think. Yeah, I'm with you. That's where it became weird for me.
Was that? What was that?
Who, me?
Yeah.
You're the one talking.
I thought Daniel was trying to speak, and I talked over him or something. No, I said that's where it became weird for me too. Was it just like this idea of us, an up and coming team that literally went to the Super Bowl a year ago? It's just a weird concept.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like you have to take it with a grain of salt and what kind of context. I would have to say the Eagles are the most improved team since the season ended, as far as things that they've done, both draft and trade and postseason signings and things of that nature. What could make them a very exciting team to watch next year, an explosive team to watch. What do you got, Daniel?
We got the other fight just started as a hobby against Turkios. That's what I've got on. I was waiting for that to start up for a second, and that just started. We got 4 fights left on that. But other than what you guys were just talking about, I think we have 7 or 8 Pro Bowls on the team right now. Because
I probably forgot about a few on defense.
Because we have Sweat, we have Cox, we have AJ Brown. We have Lane Johnson has made it. We've had Kelsey has made it, so that's 5 just there. No, Goddard hasn't made it. And I know there's somebody else.
Jalen Hurts made it last year.
Jalen Hurts. Right there at corner, we have what's his name who made it?
Darius Slay.
Darius Slay made it. So that's 7.
Now, here's a question for you. I think ESPN just did a top list of top 10 corners. He didn't put it on there, and I think Darius Slay was not happy about being on it at all. It was just noted, check mark. So that being said, you're going to put another chip on that man's shoulder for another season because, yet again, the pundits can't even consider him a top 10 corner. Did I miss something last year? Because the Cowboys guy Diggs was on there. Yeah. And if I remember correctly, I don't think interception's the only stat as a cornerback, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So again,
he played great.
Darius Slay was not on that top 10 list again.
He played great getting those interceptions, but then he gets beat at the same time.
That's what I'm saying. And then you look at Slay's numbers when it comes to the actual coverage, and he's one of the best corners in the league.
He's top 5 to me,
without a doubt. Where do you put Darius Slay, Zach? You have him as a top 5 corner, top 10 corner, top 8. How do you feel?
I think he's definitely a top 10 corner. Him not being on a top 10 list to me is pretty crazy. You could debate whether he's a top 5 guy, but I don't think there's any way you could say he's not a top 10 guy. But this is the problem with people that don't understand the ins and outs of football. Is exactly what you talk about. A lot of them will just see the sexy numbers and the idea that he had this many interceptions or he broke up this many passes, and none of them actually watch a game and understand the impact that a guy's having in the way that he's able to shut down another team's receiver and his coverage skills and things like that. And the fact that quarterbacks might not target you and throw the ball your way more than a couple times a game because of that. And that's something that in its own, you're like, okay, well, if you covered a guy so well that quarterbacks aren't even trying to throw the ball your direction and attack you, that says even more about your ability as a defensive back than I think your ability to get a ton of interceptions. Because as you said, a guy like Diggs, gets a ton of picks. So that's what happens when quarterbacks know they can pick on you because they can catch you in double moves. They can do things to, catch you in a position where they can convert a big play against you. So yeah, Diggs is going to end up in spots where he's going to be able to jump routes or make plays where, oh, look at that, nice interception he just made, but then he's going to give up a 65-yard touchdown because somebody burned him on a double move and they get beat over the top. When does Darius Slay? When's the last time you remember Darius Slay getting beat on a double move, getting made look really, really bad by a receiver? That doesn't happen. He's very solid at all times. I remember
only a handful of plays during the past few seasons where he's actually given up, touchdowns or bad plays. And I think one of his biggest things is like, yeah, guys might get catches on him from time to time, but their yards after catch and things of that nature are so significant.
He doesn't give up these big plays. He's never really getting burnt. You're never worried about,
he's always
him being like somebody hitting a home run against you by trying to attack him. And that's my big thing with corners is I don't, great, you can go get it. But if I'm worried about, that used to be the thing that used to frustrate us with Jalen Mills when they put him in coverage. You're like, great, Jalen does a lot of things I love, but then anytime he's in coverage, you're constantly worried about whether or not somebody's going to exploit that and beat you with a big play, a home run type play down the field, because that's what Jalen does. He gives up a ton of big plays too, So it's like I'd rather have the guy that, maybe the sexy numbers and all that aren't there from interception perspectives and all that, but I know that I can trust him to line up against the other team's best receiver, and I feel like, he's going to make that guy work for every catch and every yard that he gets that day. That's what I want in a defensive back, and I think that's what Slay is. I'd take him over a guy like Diggs every day of the week.
Before we wrap up tonight, I know we're getting close to the end here. Just one more time around. Anything anyone want to touch on, talk on, discuss, get out? Start at the bottom with Zach.
Since we were going with early, somebody wanted early predictions or something earlier in one of their questions. I'll piggyback off of that and spin it a little bit to your much too early NFL predictions. And just to troll and trigger certain Eagles fans, I'll say that Washington wins the division this year, and Carson Wentz has a bounce back year.
You really want hell on earth in Philadelphia next season. You want hell on earth next season, don't you?
Oh, I would enjoy the chaos, Steven. I love to stir the pot. I'm a stir the pot guy. I want to stir that pot and see and just see where it goes. I just want to see where it goes. And on top of that, I still think the Eagles could be a playoff team, but when I look at the way this division works, and you look at all, there's been a new division winner or something like that. You haven't had back-to-back division winners in how many years, right? It seems like always it's somebody else winning the division every year. And the Giants aren't good. Dallas is Dallas. A lot of volatility there.
There's a prediction for you. You want one? Here's one for you right there. You got it right on the head.
If we make the playoffs this year, I would think so. It's gonna be hard to take the job from him. It's you could be Kirk Cousins has been a guy that's been a starting quarterback in this league and a damn good one for a long time and hasn't won diddly jack poo because he's not good enough to win diddly jack poo, but he's good enough to be a franchise quarterback.
My last part of the football one, and then I'm done, right? So right off the back of this, all right, you're sitting there saying that he has to be a playoff team. There's been a lot of rumors that he's going to get an extension before the end of the season.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, you've got to at least. You got to give him the first 10 weeks of the season. So see how he started. But you come out guns a blazing, and you look like a guy that, oh damn, okay, we got something here. This kid is really figuring it out. With everything that is a football perspective, type of thing. We always knew he had the mindset and the mentality. But yeah, you come out guns a blazing, and look at this guy. Yeah, maybe I think about it, but again though, what's so funny to me is these same people that are calling for Jalen Hurts to get an extension are the same people that bitched when we gave Carson Wentz an extension in what was supposedly too early because we hadn't given him enough time to prove that he earned the money and yada, 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 yada. So,
well, I think he's about to hit that player option, but I think the idea now is to lock him down early for less money and extended now before he can actually prove.
You really think he's going to take less money? This quarterback position. These guys got agents for a reason. I know Jalen's a good kid, but you're not going to fleece him into taking less money just because. Hey, well, Jalen, can you be a team guy? Fuck you. His agent's going to be like, nah, you get what you're worth because that's the way this business works. Because again, Carson Wentz said. Carson Wentz is the prime example of that. Every agent in the game should use the Carson Wentz example of that right now. Good thing Carson Wentz's agent did push for that contract and did get that money and did make that deal happen when it did. Because look at how his career's fallen apart since then. So that's a two-way street. Agents are going to say, I want my money now because of that. And then a team like the Eagles should be like, nah, we already went through that with one quarterback. We're not putting ourselves in that position again. Like, fuck you. Play this shit out. Earn every single penny that we're going to pay you because, we already pulled off one magic trick by getting out of the Carson situation and what was a really, really bad contract and somehow ended up better off than we were before, not being fucked over because of it.
But then
you can only play with fire so many times before you get hurt.
But then there's the other side of things where you're paying people early at other positions the same way. So
but other positions don't work the same way as the quarterback position does as far as how much money you make.
But you're still paying them early before you're doing it because the concept of the Eagles usually is you try to pay the guy before his value goes up even higher. So
it's also got to be the concept of the business, though, right? Is that the way the business side of football works? Certain positions, yeah, you can do that. Other positions, not so much because guys know what their worth is and know how quickly their worth changes. So, yeah, obviously it would be ideal to lock him up for cheaper, but can you name me one example of that being a thing with the quarterback position in recent history? If anything, teams overpay. If anything, you're paying too much money for a guy.
Daniel, get your last few points in before we get ready to wrap this one up.
I still think the Eagles are going to probably be up there. I'm going to say it's them and then Washington. Dallas always drafts well, but they've lost a lot of guys, so I got to see how they do. I just don't see it with Washington because you got to see what Wentz does with that team because Wentz just went down there to a great Indianapolis team who are arguably better than Washington, and they couldn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, it wasn't like he played poorly, though, but I feel your point. That's a good point.
Look what he
played
did that last
down the stretch, and
but he didn't play poorly down the stretch either, but the Jacksonville game overshadowed all that. You can't play – it doesn't really matter how you played all season long when you get to Jacksonville and all you need to do is beat Jacksonville to make the playoffs and you lose. So, yeah, loser mentality, right?
He loses that one. He loses the week before against Oakland at home, which they had to lead, and he loses there. That
would be my concern with Carson is he a loser mentality type guy, right? Like Jalen's a winner type mentality. Carson seems like he don't really give a fuck about winning. That would be my concern.
All right. What I'll sit there and say is early football predictions. This is 11-win football.
You can go wherever you want. You didn't have to piggyback off me.
Oh no! I'm gonna do a few more. I got it. Relax, guy. 11-win football team.
It's gonna be tough. You told me to relax. I don't know if I've ever relaxed a day in my life, Stephen. But I'll try.
I know. I'm gonna give you some Xanax in your weed or something like that. Give you old school. Some as he's over there. It's fucking shit. This is 11-win football team. I think they're gonna live and die on what Jalen is able to improve on from this year to last year. I think the defense will be much improved. The top 5 defense. You could potentially also have a top 5 offense, and I think that's why a lot of people are excited about it. We will see. They still have to manifest it out in the field. We can talk about if, ands, or buts, talent, this, that, and the third. They still have to get it done on the field. I think that they'll be one of the better football teams this season. We will have to see what Jalen Hurts is at the quarterback position. We already know he can run the ball. We already know he can manage the game. We already know he is a leader on that field. Show us you can throw the ball down the field and actually just
that's what's going to come down over Tim.
And I'll probably bet Jalen for over 250 yards, like individually, like every single game. Like think about it, between passing and running, that's almost a lock in like 12 games at least.
He's probably going to make a lot of Eagles fans money betting wise this year. I'll say that much. I think what you're saying, Zach. I'm pretty sure that'll be your daily Sunday afternoon bet when the Eagles play.
Daniel, what would be your go-to Eagles bet? Like your go-to Eagles angle if you wanted to bet the Eagles this year? What's the angle you play? You're a degenerate like me.
One would probably be. I wonder what the over/under on AJ Brown's receiving yards is. I wonder what that over/under is.
I think. See, there's the
question. You come up for the whole year.
Going to have both. Smith.
Well, first
and
like
Brown
on the year,
for
and
those
then
reps,
and
right?
then individually each game.
Individual games. Okay.
That too.
See, so like a futures bet, you could do a futures bet sort of thing for Brown to have over 1,000 yards receiving. Like,
Here's
that's
the
a
thing. I
futures
think
bet.
it's the first time in a long time we're going to have 2 1,000-yard receivers.
If you got 2 1,000 yards receivers, and then Jalen Hurts has earned every penny that you're going to pay him in that extension.
No, but here's
cool.
the thing. I the question is, I still think you're at the yards. They'll probably be around 70 or 80 catches, somewhere around there. The question is will they produce with those deep passes and the touchdowns? Will one or both of them get around 10?
Well, you see, I think
that's where I think this team could be special. If they can make that big play there, if you get both of them around 10 touchdowns on top of what you're going to get out of Goddard, probably around 5 to 7 or 8, that's not that bad getting out of Jalen Hurts.
Well, this is where you've got such a perfect combination at the receiver position finally, right? Because you've got possession guys that can really control the middle part of the field and the underneath part of the field, and then you've got guys, that can beat you. Quez Watkins, maybe John Hightower, but we know Quez Watkins. We've seen Quez Watkins do it, and you think that his game doesn't become even more efficient now down the field when you've got guys like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Goddard that are all going to control the middle part of the field possession-wise. All of a sudden, Watkins is one-on-one deep down the field. You just take your shot because you just make the throw just because he's one-on-one and go get it. But, yeah, I mean, big plays in this offense, there's a real possibility that this could be like a home run type offense. A lot of big plays, and that's how you're going to score your points.
Like I said, we'll see how this team should play out, but that offense should average around 28 to 30 points a game.
Who ends up being better at the end of the year? Who ends up having a higher rating, the offense or defense?
Oh man, that's
really tough. It depends on Jalen.
You got to remember they controlled a lot of teams last year with the running game. They kept the defensive fresh. They were on the field longer, And with that being said, then what you think about what that defense did this past offseason, could they be one of those defenses that are averaging, 2-3 sacks a game, a turnover a game, etc. But you still have to see it play out. I really like what I see up front. You don't know how far Brandon Graham's regressed. You don't know what's going to happen on that side of your edge rusher. But you still have guys like Hassan Reddick that got brought in. You don't know what Nakobe Dean's going to be just yet. And me and you were still really, really high on Davion Taylor. He's a really fun linebacker to watch. We don't know what's going to happen there. You have a good back end. We'll see what happens. Can Epps ascend? What Bradbury's going to be to that duo with.
We haven't even talked about Bradbury. You're like, oh, look,
I know, right?
You got a guy on the other side. You're like, hey, that guy's pretty damn good too, right? Like,
and oh wait, we got Avonte Maddox, who's probably one of the best slot corners in football too.
Yeah, and Jordan Williams being taken in the first round. I know people are making fun of how big he is. I mean, yeah, like this is how big Jordan Davis. I said Jordan Williams, Jordan Davis, right? Yeah. He could lose 30 pounds and still be a guy that you're like, bro, like you could lose another 30 pounds. He's such a big mammoth individual. You can't block him with one person. No way, no how, right? So people, can he be a 3-down guy? Can he be a guy that's on the field at all times? I don't know, but our defensive line is built with enough depth where he doesn't have to be. But every time he's on the field with Fletcher Cox is going to eat. One of them is because you can't double team them both. And like Jordan Davis is literally, I think he's such just a mammoth monster type person. I don't think, is it really physically possible to block him with one person? I think you have to have a second guy to help at all times.
Javion Hargrove had last season too, and how much pressure he was taking off of Fletcher Cox. And then you add him into that mix, rotating them guys around in the inside. It's going to be absolutely bananas for whoever's the interior of whoever's offensive line, center guard combos are going to be scratching their head what to do with these guys.
Do you guys remember a player by the name of Gilbert Brown? You guys remember when he played for Green Bay when they won Super Bowls? When they won their Super Bowl, he was kind of that guy. Yeah, Gilbert Brown was like so big he had to come off the field like every other play because he was just so big and fat and out of shape and just couldn't. He didn't have the stamina, the endurance to play 3 downs. But that wasn't like they had between Reggie and then Gilbert Brown and then everything else that they could rotate in and out on that defensive line. I mean, I remember him making plays and a lot of big plays for them when he was a part of that defense when they were winning a lot of football games with Brett Favre and Mike Holmgren during that little stretch. And like at the very least, that's what Jordan Davis is, a guy that's taking up so much space in the middle, that it's like everybody else around him is going to get to eat because he just clogs up space. You're just clogging up holes just by standing there and being how big you are. You've had guys like that, Haloti Ngata and different guys like that, right? That we've Vince Wilfork's a guy that comes to mind that played a long time in the league and was a really good player. I think he could be a player of that caliber. And it fits well with everything you have else with this defense. He might be my new favorite. I love like freaks of nature, right? I love guys that are just like, dude, like, yeah, you're a physical specimen. Like, you might eat me for lunch. Like, I better not like catch you when you're hungry because, like, I might be a snack. Like, that's, I'm like a chicken wing to you. Like, that's all I am. I'm like a large like French fry for McDonald's. Like, that's like I'm pretty much the equivalent of that for a guy of Jordan Davis's size. Like, like he might be my new favorite player. I'm getting a Jordan Davis jersey. I need to have something, Steven, because I'm tired of showing up to shows and I'm like dressed in like T-shirts while like you're over here in like Eagles gear.
Well, we're about getting ready to wrap this one up tonight, right? So, appreciate all the fam always tuning in the chat. Again, sponsor as always, Alan Foy, EXP Realty. Appreciate the love. Make sure you guys are tuning in next week. Before we put a wrap on this one tonight.
I've done enough talking. I think I've talked over both of you guys enough tonight.
I got you, brother.
I couldn't even hear what you said. So
I said, any last parting words before we get ready to wrap it up, guys?
Let's hope that the Phillies go into their All-Star break on a nice long win streak. They have it. They have it set up well.
With you there, man.
Phillies World Series 2022. Not too early World Series predictions.
Well, I guess hopefully David is still tuning in. He can get your answer there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm Steve. That's Daniel. That's Zach. This is another episode of the Weekly Roundup. We will catch you back next week, same time, same channel. Make sure you guys are keeping up on all our programming. So appreciate the love. Catch you guys next week. Peace out, guys.